Oh, we are live. Okay, so usually there's a countdown, but yeah, we're here. I'm Austin Robillard. Manny's behind there, producing behind the scenes. We're live to discuss the, I guess, investigation results. Obviously, we knew for a long time now that we were going to have results of this Matuidi investigation coming. It was weeks now that we've known that Matuidi was meant to be a DP. So at the very least, Miami definitely played with four DPs last year. Um, Originally, Blaise Matuidi was considered a targeted allocation money player, but due to the compensation that he got and what they were finding that he got, it's a little above that. So we are in a little bit of trouble, and the results came out, and it's a lot more trouble than a lot of people may realize. It's a lot more trouble than you may think is an issue, but it's not good, and they found other results in there that really can end up screwing this team over in the long run. So let's discuss this. The first thing is the $2 million fine towards the club. Now I know, Manny was just saying too, some people, you look at that and you say, okay, $2 million, it is what it is. But no, that's going to hurt the club a lot. Not only was a $2 million fine enforced, we also had Jorge Mas being personally fined $250,000 as well on top of that. So that's going to be rough for the club, and it's going to hurt a lot. So a lot of dollars going towards MLS as a result of a fine. But in this investigation, I should note that they found that not only did Blaise Matuidi get compensated like a designated player alongside Gonzalo Higuain, Rodolfo Pizarro, and Matias Pellegrini, but Andres Reyes too. You remember that center back, the 20-year-old, the Colombian, who's not with us anymore and is now with the Red Bulls. We had to let him go. A lot of people were upset with that. Well, he was getting compensated as well as a designated player. He was getting that much money, and that's probably the reason he's not here anymore. He was also a DP. So in totality, Inter Miami played with five designated players in 2020 and did not comply with the roster rules, obviously, and that definitely came with the fine there, the $2 million. But also, too, we did not disclose, allegedly did not disclose compensation agreements, and we underreported the salary budgets for all three of Leandro Gonzalez Perez, who came in right after the MLS's back tournament, Nico Figal, and Julian Carranza. Julian Carranza, that one is an interesting one to me because he was our first ever signing alongside Matias Pellegrini. So, however that went under the radar, I'm not sure. And also Nico Figal, we knew he was getting like around TAM money, but I guess it was completely underreported. And Miami are paying these players a lot more money than they, I guess, originally said. So there is that, and that is this is the worst part of it all. Okay, so obviously the $2 million fine. I can't stress it enough that the $2 million fine is very bad. Along with Jorge Mas being fined $250K, which I think he's okay with, but the $2 million fine towards the club itself is not good. This is not, some Premier League side with a boatload of money. This is not, any of these top European teams. $2 million is a lot for an MLS club, but what for me really stands out is that MLS is also going to impose a reduction in our allocation dollars for 2022 and 2023. So that's either GAM or TAM money, general allocation money and targeted allocation money. Now, I should remind you that targeted allocation money is being used to fund the player salaries of those of Gregory, Nico Figal, LGP, Ryan Shawcross. All those guys are under targeted allocation money. And now MLS is going to take away 2.2 and a little bit of change after that, but over $2.2 million in allocation money away from Inter Miami over 2022 and 2023. I don't think that it's 2.2 each year. I think that'd be too much unless I'm fully reading it wrong, but that is quite a lot of money either way, and they might have to restructure a lot of things coming up this offseason, given the fact that, they have a lot of people under these designations, under the TAM and under the GAM designations, and you might see a lot of players, leave because they need to acquire some of this allocation money back. We saw it early on with Dylan Nealis, who was traded to Nashville just for some general allocation money. it's going to really take a toll on this roster. Losing all that money is going to take a toll on this roster, especially because outside of the DPs, some of your best players, some of the players that are still in the primes of their careers are being paid with this allocation money. And I'm sure they're getting paid a lot of it. I mean, I just mentioned that Carranza, who's also a TAM player at the least, maybe a young DP at this point. I'm not sure exactly where they rank him. Nico Figal, LGP, Ryan Shawcross, and Gregory, at the very least, are making targeted allocation money, which is around over like about $1 million a year each. And if you lose that much money over the course of 2 years, we could be in big trouble. I see some people here in the comments. Look, $2 million is the fine. It's going to hurt the club. The other fine was to Jorge Mas, which is going to be $250,000 to him personally, but the $2 million is going to be against the club. And as I was saying earlier on, it is a tough fine. That is a lot of money, especially for an MLS club, and it could hurt the finances in many different ways. But in terms of roster movement and how I'm pretty much looking at this, I'm looking at more of the $2.2+ million that's being taken away from us in allocation money. That is the biggest standout to me as a person who's really looking for on the field stuff, because now you look at like the players I just mentioned, some of our big time performers, Gregory, Nico Figal, LGP, Ryan Shawcross, and so on. These guys are getting the TAM money, the roster allocation money, the GAM or the TAM, whichever way it goes. That's where their salaries are being paid for. They're, obviously against the cap, they're being charged around $600,000 towards the cap, but any money after that is being paid with TAM and GAM money. The fact that we are losing over $2.2 million in 2022 and 2023 could mean that some of these players will no longer be with the club. You simply cannot afford to keep a lot of these players on if you are going to lose that much money. And I haven't done the numbers directly. I'll be doing that later on for sure, and I'll try and find all the numbers I can when it comes to salary and the money that we have left in TAM or GAM, all this kind of stuff. I'm going to do what I can to find out, but I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. Manny, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, listen, I'm in no position right now to turn on my camera, but let's be clear, guys, because I'm getting a lot of messages, and I am part of, Vice City. And the one thing that I keep trying to make my guys and girls understand from our group is this. Yes, it's only $2 million, right? Yes, we get that Jorge Mas has $1 billion business per se. But when it comes to the business of the MLS, this is not the EPL. This is not La Liga, okay? You don't have those extra types of funds coming in overall. Not to mention that this club was trying to finally get a stadium proposal, right? Like that was in the works. This definitely now hurts their chances in my eyes now. By you losing the $2 million plus the $250,000 that your very own owner got fined, not to mention you're going to be losing players that have star names on their back. And I'm getting lots of messages. Oh, well, Higuain sucks. Pizarro, he's overused. You guys are not understanding and getting the message. Any player, around their caliber is not going to be wearing an Inter Miami jersey. We're going to have to be relying on players probably from the under teams and just signing guys that in reality are okay. They're not going to be, no names. That's the issue here. And I think also you did such a great thing of breaking it down on this allocation thing. There's two types of it. And it's like you said it. Our big names are getting paid by that. Now it's getting reduced. If I'm Shawcross, if I'm Higuain, if I'm Figal, and I'm getting told that my salary is getting cut because of an issue that the club that I'm playing for didn't abide by the rules, I love you guys, but no, there's no way, right? You know what I mean? Like I have to feed my family. I have to make sure that my family's taken care of. This is not my fault, right? So how can we now expect any other big names from outside that we were trying to get in the near future to come in?
Manny, we have two signings coming in the summer, Kieran Gibbs and Nick Marshman, and those guys are coming from major clubs over in Europe, and I can't imagine that Kieran Gibbs took a contract offer that was under the MLS salary max, which is $600,000. I'm sure that they were planning on him being a targeted allocation player. There's no way in my mind he was going to take less than $600,000 a year from where he's come from, unless somehow, some way, Chris Henderson did that. That's another signing that goes on the back of the back of your mind and say, okay, do I have enough money to do this over the course of two years now? Because in 2022 and 2023, when you lose over $1 million in salary for these targeted allocated players, how do you compensate? Where
Yeah,
does it,
yeah,
you
no,
can't
no, and
fit
then
it under the salary budget?
and that's what I've been trying to explain for the last 20 minutes. Is like, I'm saying, like, the MLS has a set salary, has a set cap, and has so many other ways on how players get paid. But once you get fined of this magnitude, especially $2 million, like, you guys have to realize, man, like, this is not World Cup money. This is not Champions League. This is the Major League Soccer, like the United States of America. Okay, and it's gonna cost this team going forward on trying to budget itself, on trying to become one of the best teams in the league. It's gonna hurt you in the pockets, which is already going to begin. It's gonna hurt your plans. I'm trying to figure out what the new stadium per se, what the plans were for that. And then now the guys that are on the team right now, heading into the offseason, and you even called it, there's 2 signings that were supposed to come in. I mean, right now, I'm pretty sure all their cell phones are ringing with their agents on the line. Hey, let's start thinking about plan B. And I don't blame them.
Now,
And
this could have been a lot worse. I will say that too. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of hysteria now, and I'm freaking out too.
I don't ever remember a fine of this magnitude though for a club,
right?
Though, right? So then when you say it could have been a lot worse, I wanted to agree with you, but maybe this is the worst. Because there's never been another one.
Manny, you have DP slots that can be taken away. You have young DP slots that can be taken away. Hell, you even have international roster spots. And at the very worst, you could have a points deduction.
By the way, hold on. Also, we got breaking news from Franco Pazino. He's saying that Atlanta United has mutually agreed to part ways with Paul McDonough.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I am not surprised at all.
I mean, listen. When I first heard that Paul McDonough was originally not under the investigation, I was shocked, because obviously he's the guy that made all these decisions, right? He's the one that brought these players in. It wasn't just the owners. And like you said, when I read this article from Michelle Kaufman of the Miami Herald, it said that none of the owners partake in any violation. They were not in any wrongdoing. So who does that come down to? Your chief of soccer operations, your COO, your sporting director, your GM, the guy that made your roster, Paul McDonough, he is in the wrong. And for him to not have any backlash of this other than just parting ways with Atlanta, I think is mind-boggling. And at the very least, it's a slap on the wrist for him. He deserved a lot more, in my opinion. I'm not going to give him and say that he deserves all the credit for how terrible this roster was made and why we had the start that we did. But he deserves about 90% of it, okay? And maybe that's a little too far, but Paul McDonough absolutely screwed Inter Miami in many different ways, and now we're seeing the repercussions of it, where he's not even in a job here anymore. And there was a press release from Jorge Mas saying, after the first season, we've come out and now in the 2021 season, and we hired Chris Henderson, we're trying to go in the right path, and blah, blah, blah. Well, your past mistakes are coming back to haunt you now, and they're going to haunt you in 2022, and they're going to haunt you in 2023, and they're going to haunt you right now with this $2 million fine that's going to really hurt you and your investments into the club and trying to make you better. So there are a lot of different aspects here. It goes from top to bottom, from whether it's Jorge Mas getting a fine and all the way down to the club building out its roster, or even these summer signings coming in. Like I said, I don't have the numbers in front of me of what we have left and what we're going to spend and what these contracts are. But I will do the deep digging. I will make sure I get all these statistics and numbers out for you to figure out what Inter Miami may have to do coming up. I feel like they probably wouldn't have given a fine that would make them make any decisions at this moment, right? I don't think that it's going to really just I think the players now are fine, but long term, if contracts were to come up over the long term, or if they are to go down, I'm not sure exactly how they're structured, but it could be at the end of the day, honestly, Manny, I think it could have been worse. I think I was fearing the worst. I was fearing a points reduction. I was fearing a loss of a DP slot in the future. I was fearing a loss of I don't know. There could have been a lot, but financially, obviously, this sucks, and I don't think that can go understated. It's really bad, and I'm not worried as much as a $2 million fine as I am for the roster allocation money being taken away. But the $2 million fine is going to hurt Jorge Masson. 250K, I think he's going to be okay. Honestly, he's a multi-billionaire.
Yeah, no,
But
but then that's what I'm trying to just let it be known. Yes, that fine for Jorge Massa is going to be fine, but what's going to be hurting now for the club is for this is basically the future of it. It's the way that you were trying to carry yourself and building it once again with a new coach, with a new guy, in charge, and yet you have these sanctions. This kind of feels like when a college gets, all these sanctions because the prior guy who was the main booster, who was doing all these illegal stuff, he ends up leaving, right? And then all of a sudden, there's an investigation, and then come the results. Oh, well, it's the school's fault, so we're gonna sanction them one full year without a bowl game. They're gonna get this, they're gonna get that. In retrospect, this is professional sports. This is not collegiate. So this definitely hurts you being competitive. Okay, not only in getting players here, not only in making sure that you build your whole franchise going forward. This hurts you in ways that, of course, as a fan right now, you don't see it, but I'm thinking in the long term, right? I'm supposed to get ready for one of the most biggest openings tomorrow in this club's history. 8 p.m. kickoff, DC United. We're gonna have more fans there than we've ever had before, and yet this comes out. And it just gets me to try to understand and wonder is, there was a whole thing of, well, was this ever going to happen? But it happened, right? And then everything happened just so quickly. And then we just started signing all these guys like, we were running out of time, and the MLS was pressuring and pressuring and pressuring. It just feels like Paul McDonough just said, screw it, man. If they're gonna find out later on what I did was wrong, it is what it is. But I'm getting pressured, and I just have to make sure that everything just comes in the way, the best that I can to my capabilities. And if there's something happens later, it's later. But I need to, what I'm saying? Because when I met Paul, the one time that we met together and we had a quick conversation, the man looked stressed. The man looked worried. The man looked like he was facing, I don't know, something was something was on the horizon of something bad happening. And here we go a year later where he's no longer here. He went somewhere else, and it's like, wait a minute, now this investigation finally concluded. It sucks for the players though, right? Because I feel like no matter if you think they're good or bad, they're adapting to this new scenery for them. And I feel like that's the only way that an MLS team can grow and to create that culture. You have guys here that unfortunately they're getting calls right now from their agents. Their agents are telling them what's going to happen, what's going on, if their name is on that list, just like you said, of the allocation list. And it's like, how confident can you really feel going forward? You're going to root no matter what. I'm going to scream and cheer and sing them all no matter what. And so is all my family from Vice City, from La Siege, and from Southern Legion. We're going to keep doing our thing. But what about the regular fans that go there? Do they really understand this? I doubt they do. And it's going to hurt them going forward. It's going to hurt our reputation for a couple of seasons, though, Austin. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah,
and it sucks. All I wanted to know is David Beckham, one of the guys that knew or whatever, and his name is clearly down there that said, no, he is not at fault. At least that right there at least makes me happy. Right?
Yeah, I've also seen now that McDonough is actually suspended from MLS through 2020.
McDonough should not be anywhere near any MLS facility.
Nothing.
For a couple of seasons, even years if it has to be. Because what this man has done to this club all of a sudden, it's hurt them going forward on so many levels. That
Yeah, I have some numbers here. So the MLS ratified a new collective bargaining agreement in February of this year, and we saw numbers for GAM and TAM come out. Over 2022 and 2023, general allocation money from 2022 starts at 1.6 million and moves up to 1.9, and TAM goes from 2.8 to 2.7. So in total, that's about, let's see, I'm doing the numbers in my head here, 5.5, 7.1, about $9 million, and you're losing 2.2. That's over 25% of your allocation money. Over 25% of your allocation money that you're losing. You're about $9 million in for those 2 years in total between TAM and GAM. And, there's also been some trades with GAM. The Inter Miami have had. The Dylan Niels one is the one that comes to my mind.
And then Austin, I'm pretty sure that the guarantee money that's in those contracts for those players comes out of that as well. Now,
it does.
Anything. You won't be able to actually sit down and feel confident when you go into a room with one of these players and say, listen, here's the contract, but we're going to, we have this extra that we're going to sign for you if you do it. You can't even say that anymore. You can't have a normal negotiation. It's going to be like, well, you heard about us. It is what it is. Do you want to be a part of this club? Do you love to be here? Now you have to really try to sell these guys if they want to be here. And no offense, if half of these guys that we try to get that are really good that don't want to come, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. And that's what's going to hurt us going forward. It's like, And I swear, if Paul McDonough's is anywhere near any MLS club in the near future, I'm going to go to Don Garber's office. I'm going to riot.
Yeah, no. No, I don't think he will be. I think that was probably his last straw. I can't imagine that anybody's going to go ahead and pick him up after all of this. If you go on Twitter right now and you see all of these kind of people freaking out, and obviously me and Manny are freaking out as well, you're going to have mixed opinions. But at the end of the day, I'm not more. I think now that I'm like thinking it over and over, the $2 million is going to hurt a lot. The $250K is not going to hurt as much. But I really think this allocation money is going to hurt, especially with some of our biggest players, Manny. Our biggest players, LGP, Figal, the guys that are in the primes of their careers that we are relying on. Are Gregory too. Those three are the main ones I'm really worried about. Gregory, because he's 27. LGP, who's about 28, 29. Figal, who's about 26, 27. Those guys who you have under contract under this TAM money for so long, it either one allows you not to bring in anybody else, which is not good because obviously we know the state of this roster, and going forward we don't know if contracts are going to run out or whatever. And two, maybe you have to think about one of their futures now with the club, because losing over 25% of your allocation money is not a good thing. And I think that is something to actually freak out about, despite what some of these people are saying. Losing allocation money is not good at all. And I'm worried.
Well, the thing that has me now worried, though, Austin, is like, how do these guys go out there and try to, I get it. Like, we all have jobs, right? Like,
right.
Sometimes, the day can be hard. The day, it can be, easy. But how do these guys now play going forward, especially the ones that are part of this allocation that have their contracts by this? How do you expect them to actually focus on that? I mean, it's going to be difficult, and whether you play in the MLS, EPL, La Liga, it doesn't matter. You're going out there to do a job, but then now your job may be in jeopardy because of something that you have no control over. Right?
Yeah.
So that is tough on these guys, man. And listen, my heart goes out to the Higuain family. I know it's been just a heartbreaking moment for them for the last couple of weeks, but man, like to now this, I really don't know.
I am very worried about the fact that we are losing 25%, over 25%.
Somebody here can just say it's only 25%. You're missing the point here, though.
Are you kidding me? That's a lot of money.
Single cent of that allocation money, single cent in this league is used up. It's never saved. It doesn't carry over. You're given a certain amount, and you have to spend it as much as you can. It's not like it's like
and they are relying on it. Like I just said, three of our biggest players, LGP, Figal, and Gregory, and even now Shawcross, who's been an outstanding performer this season at the back, and somebody that we weren't expecting to have this kind of impact right away, is under that designation. I believe Kieran Gibbs is going to come under that designation and be a TAM player. There's more I can't even think of, but it's mind-boggling to me that people aren't afraid of this 25%. I think that you're going to lose some quality players over the next 2 years. Now, one thing that also stands out too, I don't think any of us had any idea what kind of money Andres Reyes was making. I'm very, very surprised that after they concluded this investigation, they go out and say Andres Reyes was a designated player in 2020. A designated player?
I don't ever remember seeing that anywhere, that he was a DP.
No, it was never a
To
thing.
me, it was a regular signing.
It was just some 20-year-old center back signing that we were getting on loan from Atletico Nacional in Colombia. That was all it was, and it was never anything crazy. And he wasn't never our best center back. He made a lot of reckless challenges, and then we had to let him go, even though we tried to keep him. But for the fact that he was supposed to be a designated player, please get out of my club. Get out of my club for the performances that you put on, the red cards that you caused us, the stress. And I got to get – he's a young guy, and I get it. He's got a lot of development. But a designated player, Manny. A designated player. I don't know.
I need to sit down with whatever scout Paul used to locate that player. And that's – I mean, listen – you're right. He's a young player. I mean, but his moments here in an Inter Miami jersey was just absolutely crap. But whoever put him as a DP on paper needs to also get, fired and never come back.
Yeah. No, yeah, that is bad. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a – if I'm doing this correctly, when he went back to Atletico Nacional, okay, and it looked like he was going to either be there, Miami was trying to get into some negotiation to keep him with the club, all of these kinds of things. And then he ended up going to New York Red Bulls. It was a little bit like, okay, maybe we lost a decent talent. But Nacional wanted $2.5 million in a transfer fee, not just what he's getting paid. In a transfer fee to keep Andres Reyes. And then we had to pay him whatever salary he was making, which now I know is a lot more than $1 million a year because of the fact that he was a DP. So if he were to come back to Inter Miami, you're a lot of money down the drain. And I think that bringing in like Ryan Shawcross on
Austin,
money is a lot better.
Austin, let me just show you the love though that La Familia has for this club. One of our guys who's been with us since the beginning says, listen, at this point, if we have to play with unknown names, I don't care. If we have to play with 11 kids from our academy, F it. I'll be there, scream and yell, and I don't care who the hell tells me to shut up and sit down. I love this club too much.
Yeah, no.
I mean, if that doesn't tell you the loyalty and love that these people have for this team, and only in the second year of its existence, I don't know what does. So, but hey, it is what it is.
No,
we shall see.
There are fantastic fans, especially from Vice City. I mean, you guys do it loud and proud, and I don't think that the club's going to be losing any fans over this or any support or anything like that. Like you said, it could be 11 kids from the freaking academy on an MLS pitch, and DC United is going to be a massive, massive game no matter what. Like, it does not that it doesn't matter. Of course it matters, but at the end of the day, it's an MLS club in Miami. It's a professional soccer club in Miami that people have been wanting since the Fusion left a very long time ago. And now that soccer has been growing and growing, we see the fan base that La Familia has created, Vice City has created. It's been unbelievable. So, yeah, I mean, as tough as the allegations are, we have to remember that this is our club, right? This is our club at the end of the day, and we get through it. Whatever is to come. If it's big players leaving and no more big players coming in, or it's anything, the financials are screwed and they are struggling. We make sure we sell out Drive Pink Stadium, and I know that the supporter stand will be filled all the way, top to bottom, left to right, as always. And you guys always do a ridiculous job. Speaking of many. What are you guys doing? I know that you guys are having some. There's a pregame that you guys are doing outside of the stadium.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a small pregame barbecue about a block or two, going east towards the stadium. Anyone and everyone is welcome. Just please wear your masks when you're in that area. There'll be food. There'll be drinks. There'll be music. There'll be all types of things. I think right now we are trying to work on getting some sort of television set, because we do know that the Champions League will be going on at 3:00 for that time. So, but yeah, if you guys show up early, make sure you pass by there. And then around 4:30 or so, that's when they let us in the stadium. And then we'll be ready to get everything set up as far as our flags, our whole shrew there. So
I won't be there, but I will be supporting from inside the stadium for sure. I know you guys do it loud and proud over there. So I think that wraps it up. Remember, Inter Miami are being fined $2 million. They are being fined. Jorge Mas is being fined $250,000, and Miami is also going to be losing over 25% of their allocation money in 2022 and 2023. And at the end of the investigation, MLS found that both Andres Reyes and Blaise Matuidi should have been considered designated players, and we underreported the salary and compensation for Nico Figal, Julian Carranza, and Leandro Gonzalez Perez. As bad as it sounds, you didn't lose any points. You didn't lose any draft picks, and you didn't lose any designated player spots or international roster spots. You're losing money, and you kind of did lose some spots in the sense that you're losing all your allocation money. But I think that there were worse scenarios, but man, it's still going to be tough, and I think that we are going to feel these effects for at least the next 2-3 years. With that said, I'm Austin Robillard. Manny here joining me from Vice City and 5 Reasons Sports, who does a fantastic job producing as always. And we will see you guys next time, hopefully Saturday tomorrow before the game against DC. So we'll see you guys then. Stay tuned for the pregame and postgame shows. Until next time.